Comfort is the most dangerous place you can live, and if you don't escape it now, you might never become who you were meant to be. There comes a moment in every person's life when comfort becomes more dangerous than risk. Not dramatic. Danger. Not the kind that screams at you. I'm talking about the quiet kind, the kind that whispers, "Stay where you are. It's safe here." The kind that convinces you to settle for average, to trade your potential for predictability, to live a life that looks fine on the outside, but feels empty on the inside. And if you're listening to this right now, I need you to hear me clearly. You were not built for average. You were not born to blend in, to shrink back, to spend your life watching other people chase dreams that you were too afraid to pursue. There is something inside you, something powerful, something relentless that refuses to be ignored forever. You've felt it, that restlessness, that voice that keeps saying, there has to be more than this. That voice? That's not doubt. That's your calling. But here's the truth. Most people don't want to admit. Answering that call is going to cost you. It's going to cost you comfort. It's going to cost you sleep. It's going to cost you the approval of people who don't understand your vision. It might even cost you relationships that were only built to survive the version of you that stayed small. And that's where most people quit. They want the dream. But they don't want the sacrifice. They want success, but they don't want the struggle. They want the reward, but they're not willing to pay the price. So they hesitate. They overthink. They wait for the perfect moment. Let me tell you something about that perfect moment. It doesn't exist. There is no magical day when you suddenly feel ready, fearless, and fully prepared. That's a myth. A comforting lie we tell ourselves so we don't have to take action today. The truth is, you move before you're ready. You start before you're confident. You act while your hands are shaking and your heart is racing. Because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is deciding that something else matters more. And right now, you have a decision to make. You can stay where you are, comfortable, predictable, stuck in a loop of what-ifs and some days. Or you can step forward into the unknown, into growth, into discomfort, into the version of yourself that you know, deep down, you were meant to become. Because here's what nobody tells you. The life you want is on the other side of the decisions you're avoiding, that business idea you keep putting off, that opportunity you're afraid to take, that goal you keep telling yourself you'll start next week. That's the door. And every day you hesitate, that door doesn't disappear, but it does get heavier to open. Not because it changes, but because you do. Doubt grows when action is delayed. Fear gets stronger when you feed it excuses. And slowly, without even realizing it, you start convincing yourself that maybe you're not capable, maybe you're not ready, maybe you're not enough. But that's a lie. You don't become ready by waiting. You become ready by doing. Every step forward builds strength. Every failure teaches you something. Every moment you refuse to quit reshapes who you are. And at some point, something shifts. The fear doesn't disappear, but it loses its control. The doubt doesn't vanish, but it gets quieter. And you begin to realize something powerful. You were never lacking potential. You were lacking action. So today, right now, I'm asking you, what are you going to do with the time you've been given? Are you going to keep waiting, or are you finally going to move? Because in part 2, we're going deeper. We're going to talk about what happens when you stop negotiating with your excuses and start demanding more from yourself. So now the question isn't whether you can change your life. The question is, will you? Because at some point, you have to stop having conversations with your excuses and start confronting them. No more, I'm too tired. No more, I'll start tomorrow. No more, I'm just waiting for the right time. You've waited long enough. And let's be honest, those excuses, they sound real, they sound justified, but they're not protecting you. They're holding you hostage. Every excuse is a chain, and every time you repeat it, you tighten it. But here's the truth that changes everything. Nobody is coming to save you. No perfect mentor is going to knock on your door. No perfect opportunity is going to fall into your lap. No moment of sudden clarity is going to magically erase your fear. It's on you, your life, your future, your success. It's your responsibility, and that might feel heavy. Good. Because it should. Responsibility is not a burden. It's power. The moment you accept that everything in your life is on you, is the moment you take control. Because if it's your fault, it's also your fix. If your choices got you here, your choices can take you somewhere else. But that requires something most people avoid at all costs. Discipline. Not motivation. Motivation is temporary. It fades. It disappears the moment things get hard. Discipline is what remains when motivation is gone. Discipline is waking up when you don't feel like it. Discipline is showing up when no one is watching. Discipline is doing the work, especially when it's boring, repetitive, and uncomfortable. That's the difference between people who dream and people who win. And here's where it gets real. You don't need a massive breakthrough. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. You just need to start stacking small wins, one decision at a time, one action at a time, one promise to yourself kept. Because every time you follow through, you build trust with yourself. And when you trust yourself, everything changes. You stop second-guessing, you stop hesitating, you stop asking for permission, and you start becoming dangerous in the best possible way. Because now, you're not driven by emotion. You're driven by standards. You're no longer asking, "Do I feel like it?" You're saying, "This is who I am. This is what I do." And when you reach that level, average is no longer an option. Quitting is no longer a habit. Excuses are no longer tolerated. You become the kind of person who finishes what they start, the kind of person who shows up no matter what, the kind of person who refuses to settle for a life they know they're capable of outgrowing. But let me remind you of something important. This path, it's not easy. There will be days when you feel exhausted, days when nothing seems to be working, days when doubt creeps back in and tries to convince you to stop. On those days, you don't negotiate, you don't step back, you don't quit. You remind yourself why you started. You remember the version of you that was tired of feeling stuck, tired of feeling average, tired of knowing you had more inside you but not doing anything about it. And you move anyway. Because progress isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about refusing to go back to the person you used to be. So here's what I want you to do after this video ends. Don't just feel inspired. Don't just nod your head and say, "That was powerful." Do something. Take one step. Right now. Send the email. Start the plan. Make the call. Take the risk. Because your future is built on what you do next, not what you just heard. And years from now, you're either going to look back at this moment as the turning point or as another opportunity you let slip away. The choice is yours. But understand this, you don't get the life you want. You get the life you're willing to fight for. So fight for it. Starting now.